Not surprisingly, rice is the most widely consumed food in the world. With an estimated 40,000 different varieties and techniques, you could eat rice every day and not repeat the same dish twice. Today I'm going to show you how to make rice with vermicelli, or arroz b'shariyya, a Middle Eastern classic that will really upgrade your rice game. This side dish contains strands of vermicelli, a thin noodle which gives it an almost nutty or baked flavour. It's perfect for eating alongside meat or vegetable dishes because of its buttery and fluffy texture. If you're a rice addict like me, then prepare to put on some pounds, as this recipe will change your life. To make the perfect rice, you'll need to choose the right variety. Here are 4 different kinds you can commonly find. On the left is basmati rice, which is thin and long. When cooked, these grains will inflate to 2 to 3 times their length and will be super fluffy. It's typically used in Southeast Asian cuisine, but is also used in some Middle Eastern countries. This next one is arborio, a common variety from Italy that is used to make risotto. Next up is a short grain pudding rice. This has a super high starch content that makes it great for thickening puddings. Finally, we have Egyptian rice, which is a medium grain variety with a medium starch content, and it's the one I'll be using today. Putting the arborio and Egyptian rice side by side, you can see that they're actually quite similar. In fact, they are both thought to have been cultivated from japonica, a Japanese breed of rice. On close inspection, both are the same shape, with arborio being slightly fatter and larger. The Egyptian rice is less shiny than the arborio and has a more uniform off-white colour. Finally, the arborio has a slightly rougher or less refined texture. The main difference between the two is that the arborio contains a large starch layer on the outside, which surrounds the rice kernel. As it cooks, this starch is released into the liquid, which gives risotto its thick texture. What makes Egyptian rice perfect for this dish is that once cooked, it's round, soft and fluffy. It is able to absorb a lot of flavour from the liquid it's cooked in, and the shape provides great textural contrast with the vermicelli. If you can't find Egyptian rice, get an ordinary variety of Japanese rice instead, but not the glutinous kind. It's pretty similar and should work good in this recipe. Apart from the rice, the other major component of this dish is vermicelli. It's a thin noodle made from rice or wheat flour and common to East Asian cuisines. Sometimes this can be sold as whole noodles. Try and get the short straight kind, but if you can't find it, then get the long ones and cut the strips down to a few centimetres or half an inch long. You should measure out 1/3 cup in total for this recipe. Before cooking the rice, it needs a good thorough wash. This will wash off any surface starch and will give us a fluffier texture. If you don't wash the rice, the individual grains will end up sticking to each other. Measure out a cup of rice into a bowl and fill it with room temperature water. Agitate your rice by stirring it with your hand, and keep moving it around for a couple of minutes until the water turns a murky white colour. When you can't see the rice grains anymore, pour out the water and refill the bowl with some fresh water. Repeat the washing process 3 more times. Each time the water will get a little bit cleaner, and after 4 total washes, the water should run pretty clear. At that point, pour the rice out into a wire sieve and let it drain. You should leave it to dry for 30 minutes or 1 hour until completely dry. Now before getting started, there's one last thing you need to do, and that's to prepare some stock you'll cook the rice with. I've got some chicken stock from a batch I made earlier that I had frozen. You could of course use a stock cube instead, but homemade stock is always better. Prepare 500 milliliters of stock and season it with 1 teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of white pepper. You should use stock that complements the dish you're serving it with, so if you're making a chicken dish, then use chicken stock. You can of course use water instead of stock, but the stock will impart a lot more flavour on the rice. Just a note, your stock or water should be boiling or close to it when you add it to the pot, as the thermal shock from cool stock could cause your rice to crack. Once your rice has dried and you're ready to cook, add 1 tablespoon of butter to a small pot on medium heat. Make sure to use a pot that you have a tight lid for, as you don't want any steam escaping during cooking. Follow it up with a tablespoon of oil and leave them till the butter melts. The reason we add both butter and oil is that the butter gives a great flavour to the vermicelli, but the oil gives a nicer mouthfeel to the cooked rice. Once the butter has melted, add in 1/3 cup of vermicelli to the pot. Use a wooden spoon or spatula to stir it with the butter for about 2 to 3 minutes. During this time, it will gradually go from a light brown colour to a deep golden brown. When it's looking about this colour, pour in your washed rice. Mix it all together until well combined. Now if your rice hasn't had time to dry fully, then I recommend letting it fry for a few minutes until it turns a pearlescent white colour. Once you've mixed your rice and it's all shiny and coated with oil, flatten it out into a single layer. Pour in your stock or water to cover the rice. Now you need to pour it until it's about 1.5 cm or half an inch above the rice. Turn your heat up to medium-high and cover the pot. You should leave it to boil covered until all of the water has evaporated away. This will only take about 3 to 5 minutes. Check the pot, and if the water has boiled away, turn the heat down to its lowest setting. Give the rice a quick mix and cover it again with a lid and leave it to steam. It will take about 20 minutes of steaming for the rice to fully cook. After the 20 minutes are up, check on it and try the rice for doneness. If it's still a little underdone, keep it on the stove for a couple more minutes. Once it's ready, use a fork to fluff the rice up a bit, and then leave the lid ajar for at least 10 minutes. This will allow any excess steam to escape and allow the rice to cool a little bit. When you're ready to serve, spoon it out into a serving dish. If you're a fan of crispy rice, there are sometimes clumps of delicious baked rice stuck to the bottom of the pot. You can really see how fluffy it is when you look up close, and the vermicelli is beautifully browned and soft. Serve it alongside any meat or vegetable dishes. A few videos back I made molokhia and served it with this rice. Click the banner to check it out. Today I'm serving it alongside some black peppered meat, which is a super simple and delicious meal to make. I really have to recommend you make this rice because it's so simple, but it's such a game changer. Yeah, of course plain rice is good, but this stuff is just so good you can eat it on its own. And that's exactly what I did off camera when I finished recording. Let me know if you try it out, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, as it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you want me to cover any specific recipes or want the recipe for the black pepper beef, leave a comment down below. As usual, all the ingredients and directions are in the description box, and I'll be back next week with another recipe.